Hi, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor with my Trumpology report for November 2019. Now, before I jump into his forecast, the biggest thing going on in November is the fact that Mercury is retrograde. And many of you know what that means. Mercury rules communication, correspondence, transportation. You know where I'm going with this. It rules our mouth and our minds. And when it is retrograde, it's a time of redoing, tying up the loose ends of unfinished projects, which we all know we do during this time if we're students of astrology. Even if we're not students of astrology, we somehow are led to do that. And Trump is going to be doing the same thing. And I'm going to share this with you. And I'll share the full moon and the new moon, and you'll see what I'm talking about. First of all, let's talk about the path of the sun, because the sun is the giver of life, and wherever it falls in your chart at any particular time, that's the area that lights up and takes off. And so remember what I mentioned about Mercury ruling our mouth and our minds. It is communication, correspondence, transportation. With the sun, with Trump's sun in his third house, that third house is ruled in the natural zodiac by Mercury. So it rules his mouth and his mind. It rules communication, correspondence, and transportation. So the sun lights it up, and he is going to be talking. And you might be saying, Maxine, he always talks. That's true. Were you expecting a change? The man is the way he is. I think it was Oprah who said, when someone shows you how they are, believe it. And so, yes, we know he's a communicator. Yes, we know he seeks the limelight. Yes, we know he's a talker. And it's going to be even more so. In fact, it already has been more so. The sun will stay in this third house of short distance travel, lots of communication, lots of ideas, lots of talking until the 17th, when it moves into his fourth house of home, family, and real estate. And this is the area that's going to be his focus. Now, there's been a lot of talk about his real estate. There's been a lot of talk about his family. With the sun in the fourth house, it lights up that area. It lights up the area of real estate. And this, look, anybody's chart, if they have the sun transiting, that means sitting in right now, that fourth house, I would suggest that they get involved in home and family matters. And if they're involved in real estate or choose to be involved in real estate, it's a terrific time. So his real estate holdings will come up for grabs. He might want to spend time with his family. Now, on the 12th, we have a full moon. On the full moon, things come to a head. They often explode, but they come to a head. On the 12th, we have this full moon, which we will all experience in 20 degrees of Taurus. Find 20 Taurus in your birth chart. That tells you where things are going to come to a head right around the 12th. In Trump's chart, it deals with his ninth house of long-distance travel, people from other lands, communication of long-distance transportation. It has him seeing a larger picture and wanting to expand his reach. You might say, well, he's already done that. He has communicated with Putin, Kim Jong-un, all of these officials in countries that he would like us to emulate. So there's more of that going on. Again, were you expecting a change? On the 26th, we have a new moon. And this is when things start moving forward. It's new start. And so it involves his home and family and all his real estate holdings. Now, I want to mention something here. From the 19th until the 22nd, this is for those of you studying astrology, the full moon is going to be, oh, excuse me, have not gotten to that. The sun is going to be squaring his ascendant. Now, the sun is the ego, the ascendant is you personally. And so there's a great deal of emphasis on him just taking a stand for himself, communicating things, sharing ideas that if he were my client, I'd tell him not to, because you're actually fighting with yourself. Okay. I want to mention also that on the full moon, on the 12th, all right, this full moon, I have not written it here because I didn't want to clutter the chart, is squaring his Pluto-Mars midpoint. Pluto is control and or total transformation. Mars is war, it's fighting. And so once again, there's going to be fighting behind the scenes. In the White House, we won't see it, we won't know it, but it will show by the way he expresses himself. All that to say, just keep your eyes open. And this is from the 19th until the 22nd. Okay. The new moon, of course, on the 26th, emphasizes his home and his family. And this is a time for him of being self-protective, wanting to expand because the new moon is in Sagittarius, which expand his real estate holdings, and perhaps expand, not literally necessarily the family, although I don't know if any of the children are expecting, but this is a time for him to go to his properties. We might see him at Mar-a-Lago, at any of his properties. Again, we have to wait and see how this shakes out, but there's more. There's a lot more I want to share with you. Mercury retrograde. I started this session with Mercury retrograde. Look at here. Mercury is retrograde in his 4th house of home, family, real estate. And this is a time when our past comes up to be dealt with. Real estate holdings, family members. Now, Mercury appears to be moving backwards in the heavens when it's retrograde. It doesn't move backwards, but it appears that way, and that's how it feels here on planet Earth. Okay, what we are looking at here is that it crosses back into his 3rd house of communication, correspondence, and transportation. And on the 20th of the month, it goes stationary direct, meaning it stops moving backwards. While Mercury is in his 3rd house, retrograde, his thoughts, his ideas, what he says may be confused. Again, you may be saying, what else is new? What else is different? Nothing. Except to tell you that it's a time of taking back what he has said by saying other things over what he's already said. I hope that makes sense to you. And on the 20th, Mercury stops its retrograde action. On the 21st, it starts moving forward again. But during the month of November, it will go retrograde in his 3rd house. And so he's going to be taking back what he said, making new statements. Again, you may say, well, he always does that. And I'm saying, yes, and he's going to keep on doing it. There is no change. that's what's going to be going on, only more so. Maybe because now people are more aware of it, they're seeing it, they're accepting it, and they're acknowledging it. Whereas before, they were unable to see what he was doing. Even though the videos of what he originally said were playing, he would, and his staff, of course, would say something totally different, and then they would move forward. So there's going to be lots of talking, lots of communication, etc. Okay, that's Mercury. Now, I want to talk about 3 planets together, all right? Venus, the planet of love and money and enjoyment. It's one of the benefics. The other one is Jupiter, the greater benefic. Both Venus and Jupiter, the 2 good guys, are sitting in his 4th house of home, family, and real estate. Now, when Jupiter sits upon or hits upon something that is not particularly helpful astrologically, it can be too much of a good thing. It can be overdoing the good stuff. Jupiter is the planet that traditionally brings blessings. It brings abundance, meaning it can bring a lot of. This month, November, Jupiter is not sitting on his south node. When it was, he was his family was the focus of attention. His real estate holdings. Now he was still amassing more that we perhaps knew about or didn't know about. But with both Venus and Jupiter in his 4th house, his home, his properties produce blessings. From the 15th to the 19th of the month, Venus sits on his south node, which can be a drain on a person. It's the south node is what we have mastered in past lives. And so if we spend too much time with our south node, which is instinctive to us, so he's instinctively drawn to real estate and anything dealing with real estate, and the family, and the moon, which deals with our emotional attachments, in his case to home, family, and real estate. So there can be a pouring of money, a pouring of energy, a pouring of love into the family dynamic and into everything dealing with real estate. When that happens, it is in opposition to his public image, which is Uranus, the rebel, the unusual, North Node, the area of greatest fulfillment, and the South Node, the ego. Jupiter has already passed that point, but Venus will be there from the 15th to the 19th. What was I going to say? This is the time when he will find great comfort, can find great comfort in his family and his holdings. Now, on the 25th, Venus moves into his 5th house of children, gambling, sex, and so he is ready for some fun. Once again, whether we know it or not. It's a time of enjoyment for him. It's a time of speculation, and Venus is one of the good guys, so that can create more money for him. On the 28th through the 30th, Jupiter joins Venus, and so we've got the 2 good guys. Jupiter is expansion, Venus is love. He can find great joy in his children, and perhaps real estate dealings or just being with them. Speculation of all types. So he's not putting as much attention on his public image at that point, at the end of November, as he is enjoying himself. Now, the last planet, Mars. Mars is our warrior. Wherever Mars is, that is what you throw yourself into. It has been in his second house of money. And possessions. And so he's fighting. He has been fighting over his finances, getting more, spending more, without seeing his balance sheet. We don't know what he spent it on, but we know that money's been the focus of his attention. On the 6th of November, Mars moves into that third house, the third house of communication, correspondence, and transportation. Mars is anger. How is he going to be expressing himself? Angrily. You might say he does that too on a regular basis, on a daily basis. There's going to be even more of it. With Mars in his third, they didn't ask my opinion, but I would be very careful in traffic. I'm sure he doesn't drive his own car. I'm sure he is driven. But with Mars there is impatience in traffic. I mentioned this to you all just for your own edification. But we'll have him making statements, perhaps outlandish, but certainly inflammatory statements designed to start a fight. He will act impulsively. He will speak impulsively. He will go off script. I know he does that all the time, more so. Third house, Mars. Third house, Mercury, all right? Mars is going to be in his third house after the 6th. Mercury will be sitting there also. It crosses back into the third house on the 24th. So it's toward the end of the month. And the Sun, third house. So nothing's new. There's just more of it. And my observation based on the news is that not just he, but the people around him, and I don't have the exact time of many of the people, the birth time of many people around him, but they are imitating him, saying one thing one day and another thing another. In other words, just another day in paradise, kids. Just another day in paradise. So that's what I have to share. Join me next month as the Sun moves into his 5th house. Mercury moves back into his 4th. And we'll see what's going on with Venus and Jupiter and Mars. So, till we meet again, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours.